Hello and welcome on in. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. After last week being at Toyota Park, we are back here at the Heineken Pub 97 at the Private Bank Fire Pitch. Fred Hubner along with Paul Tenorio, Frank Klopas will be joined by Chicago Fire right back Matt Polster in one of our upcoming segments. But this is more like it. Couple of losses on the road. The Fire come back home. They had scored 4 goals against Orlando and Vancouver. Another 4-goal game and a 4-1 win, Frank.
Listen, exactly what they needed. We talked about just responding well after the couple losses that they've had, and just getting back in track and finding the rhythm and playing well. And I think there's no better place to do that than at home, where I think that as a team they've been invincible to play. And I think it was a good performance, and a good performance by some guys that normally we don't see on the score sheet. And I think it was time for them to get on it, because I think they've played well, and a dominating performance for me in the end. 4-1 result was great.
Look, of course you're not happy with the losses, but it's we talk about it all the time, it's very difficult to win on the road in this league. And I think also coming back from such a long break, to have those 2 difficult games back-to-back coming out of the Gold Cup break made things even tougher. NYCFC especially, you could see the sharpness was missing, but you have to be able to limit those bad streaks. And I thought coming back home against a team in the East that is trying to make up ground, they have a lot to play for. The teams behind the Fire are starting to catch up. It was a big game, and to put another 4 in, I thought was huge for the Fire, for confidence, but also just to create some distance between themselves and NYCFC and the other teams behind them in the standings.
Well, I know Frank's partner Dan Kelly was waiting for that 4th goal. He kept hyping the 4th goal. When they scored the 4th goal, I thought he was going to just leave the booth, just leave the rest for you.
I mean, it was exciting. All the goals, there were some great goals. It started from the first one. I know we have Matt here, and I want to talk about that outside of the foot. That it was, for me, was just an incredible finish. Because for me, when talking about technical ability, is that the ability to see wanting to do something and have the quality to execute it. And I think that's what Matt did. And I think it was a great finish. But I think all the goals were great. So there was moments on the run of play where it was good. I think there were moments, I think Paul even talked about it, I think they were forcing the ball a little bit, but in the end, to be able to score 4 goals, and then respond well after giving up that equalizing goal. I think there was another opportunity for goodness in the first half. We'll see it, but then after that, I think that they took control of the game.
And for me, there was this big moment after the 3rd goal where at that moment in time, you can seize the game. You can really make sure that the opponent understands that they're out of it. And it's not just scoring the goal, it's what happens in those next few minutes. And at that point in time, the Fire started to really knock the ball and move it side to side. And you could see New England chasing. And after 1 minute and 2 minutes of that chasing, the body language in their players started to change. And they realized they were chasing the game, they were chasing the ball, and they were out of it. And I think, for me, that's what a good team has to do at home, is to understand those moments and to understand what the game dictates and to take it out of your opponent. And in the ability to keep the ball, as simple as that was, I thought that really set the tone for the fact that the Fire was saying, look, we're the better team, and you're not going to have a chance here in our stadium. We're not going to let you back into this game.
We keep talking about the goals. Let's take a look at the goals. A full house at Toyota Park on Saturday. They added some seats in the south end zone to get the people in that wanted to see the Chicago Fire's return home. Jalmyra looking, gets it to the other side. Matt Polster brings it down, beats 1, beats 2, and beats the 3rd one.
That's for me. That's like a quality outside of the fit. I think he's been watching a lot of Brazilian tapes, Matt.
Here was the equalizer as Kai Kamara gets up. He's done that a few times in his career, getting up on a free kick and scoring out the set piece. Made it 1-1 in the 24th minute. Then we see the Fire taking the lead. The first of Patrick Duty's assists. He gets the ball. Frank was saying, come on, put it on net. No, he gets it to Schweinsteiger, who dummies it to Juninho, puts it in the net. We've been waiting for one of those from Juninho. He gets his first goal in a Chicago Fire uniform. Duty wasn't done. A nice ball. DeLu gets ahead to it and immediately looks over to thank Patrick Duty for the assist. And here in the waning moments, 92nd minute stoppage time, he gets the ball to Solinek, who came in as a sub. Couple of nice moves, puts it in the net. A 4-1 victory. The Chicago Fire 10-0-1 at home, a new club record of 9 consecutive home victories, and it's exactly what they needed to come home. The big crowd, and they made everybody happy when they left.
100%. I always talk about like the next play. You know, once the New England got the goal, I think the Fire made the next play, again the second goal. But I agree with Paul. That third goal for me was great because New England dropped in a very low block, and then, I mean, before that goal, I mean, the Fire must have put together maybe 25, 30 passes, and then they finally went down on the left side, got the cross in, and equalized. So it was just a different way in their ability to break a team now that's sitting much lower and finding different ways where they can score.
A sweep against the New England Revolution this year, winning all 3 games, outscoring them by a combined score of 9-2. The Fire will be at Columbus this weekend. We'll take a closer look at that. And don't forget, we will also take a closer look at what we saw this past Saturday out at Toyota Park. TFC, Toronto FC, with 44 points. The Fire 3 points back at 41. And New York City FC is just a couple back. The game coming up Saturday, the 12th, 6:30 start. Catch it on CSN Plus, or heck, make the drive to Columbus. Not a bad one. Pre-game show starting at 6 o'clock. And then the Fire return home after a midweek game. They will be home against Toronto FC Saturday, August 19th, 7 o'clock. Get your tickets early, presented by Valspar. We come back, we'll take a look a little bit more in depth at what happened last week. The Chicago Fire with a win. You can get your tickets at chicago-fire.com/tickets. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Heineken tastes perfect every single time, and that doesn't happen by accident. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster, almost as long as it took me to master this look.
She came to meet a man. She found an angel. Good, ba-da-ba-shaka. What's his name now? Good, ba-da-ba-shaka.
Still practicing. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster. There's more behind the star.
The heat will wear you out real quick. And we've been through some hot ones. It's very physical. You gotta take care of your body and stay hydrated because every moment matters. That's why I drink Advocare Hydrate. I've got a job to do.
Oh, honey, it's time.
To go back to Lowe's? Yeah, this Valspar paint and primer in one really freed up the afternoon. Hey, how do you feel about tackling the kitchen?
Oh, not great.
Okay, well, maybe we could finish up the basement then. I always wanted to get a pool table down there. I'm a bit of a shark.
And your wife is very much a pregnant chameleon.
Oh, what about a bar?
John.
Go, that time.
Yeah.
Clean paint starts here. Save time with Valspar's paint and primer in one interior paints, exclusively at Lowe's.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. We're breaking down the Chicago Fire's 4-1 win over the New England Revolution this past Saturday at Toyota Park. 3 straight 4-goal home games. That's a club record. A plus 19 goal differential. That's tied with the Toronto FC. And scoring against teams at home, Frank, they've outscored the opposition 31-5. Now, that's what you want to do. The fans come. They love seeing goals. They're getting full houses now and winning games.
No, I agree with you. And I think when you look at this last game, man, I mean, you get goals. Matt Polster gets the first one. I mean, it's great to see DeLu get back on the scoreboard. Solinek getting one late on that one. And especially a guy like Juninho, who's come so close. He's had some good looks. I think even when you look at the games that the Fire dropped, the one in NYFC, late in the game, they gave him space. They dropped off. And then this late shot off the post that maybe didn't go in. So he's had some good looks. So it's good for him just to get one and get some confidence.
Well, I think there are moments in games like this where it's a 4-1 win and you think, oh, it's a complete domination and you just kind of move on. No. For me, it's also about individual confidence. Within a team, you want certain guys to have these moments. Patrick Duty, this is a big time for him because Brandon Vincent's out for the next few weeks with this quad injury, right? So for him to get 3 assists, to play better than he did in Kansas City defensively as well, he's gaining confidence. That's going to be super valuable as you continue to play these games, whether it's against Columbus or if he has to be in the game on the road in Montreal or against Toronto being a big one, right? So Patrick Duty's getting confidence. For me, Luis Solignac has long shown that he's kind of a confidence player. So for him to get a goal late in the game, that's going to be big for him to get back into the competition at that right wing spot. And so you take those little moments out, and I think it only continues to help you throughout the season. You look for those little individual performances that are going to just provide a little bit of a boost within the team.
Well, you talk about Solignac, too, and this is the first time since April 1st he wasn't in the starting 11. So if he did have any bad feelings, getting on the field and scoring makes it all that much better.
Yeah,
well, it pushes everyone.
It pushes everyone, and that's why I agree with Paul. I think for me, I think when you get an opportunity as a player, you got to make the best out of it, you know, because in the end of the day, as a coach, when you put a roster together, you want to try to create competition in every spot, you know, and then Duty getting up the field now because Vincent being injured, he makes the most of it. There's got to be some pressure there, you know. You got to put a pressure on someone else in a good way. I think you got to create, you know, an environment that's competitive, and I think that's what you do when guys get an opportunity to play, and then they do extremely well, like the guys did in this last game.
Well, and you think about it also, how well Brandon Vincent was playing when he got hurt, and your immediate thoughts are, okay, he's playing really well, and we're bringing in Patrick Duty, the team bringing in Patrick Duty to play that spot. You're a little concerned, but you know what? I think he showed not only can he play defensively, and like you said, an improvement from the Kansas City game, but also offensively. He got up. It wasn't like he was just playing defense. He was playing the role just like Brandon Vincent would have.
And again, confidence is such a big word for younger players who don't have a lot of experience. I look at Brandon Vincent last year, and I think that was the big aspect he was missing, was confidence. He was questioning himself too often. He was overthinking situations. Do I go? Do I stay? How should I make this run? Should I go inside? Should I go outside? And early this season, when Schweinsteiger was signed, it was very clear he started talking right away to Brandon Vincent about where he wanted him, that he trusted him, that he needed him here in certain moments. And that gave Brandon confidence to go forward, to be a bigger part of things. And it just started to feed into the whole season for Brandon. And I think, again, we saw it with Patrick in this weekend's game. He goes forward, he gets that first assist, he starts to feel a little more confident. Now he's getting forward again the second time, serves in a cross, boom, it's a goal. And it just feeds into itself. And I think even talking to him in the post-game interview, Frank, you could see that he kind of had this sense of relief because, you know, there are ups and downs in that first game back against Kansas City. Haven't played an MLS game in 2 years, 2 seasons. You know, and it was a tough place to go play, and now you get that confidence back.
Yeah, and this game, I think, was tailor-made for both outside backs. I think for Matt on one side and for Patrick on the other, just the way New England plays. You know, they play in this diamond formation. You know, they play very narrow, even when they press the ball. So the opportunity to switch the point of attack and where both outside backs can find opportunities to get forward, and they did, but it's all about the timing. One to get forward, one to make those runs, one to play them, and I think, you know, they got forward and then they made the most of it.
And Frank, you know, I mean, as a coach, when you build a system that relies on fullbacks getting forward, you need both of them getting forward. You can't be too unbalanced to one side or the other. I think early in the season we saw that, you know, when Matt Polster came into the lineup, suddenly the right side opened up and the team could go either way, right, to get up the wings and get service in. And so to lose Brandon Vincent, you start to worry, is this team going to become heavy to the right side? You've got David Akama on the left side. You don't want to lose that. So it was important for Duty to show that he can still be a part of that.
That's a good point, Paul. And I think it does help when you have two guys centrally with Dax and Juninho that have the ability now to cover a lot of ground, because you can push both guys forward, and then in transition you have guys that can cover those wide channels. Plus both guys, if it's Kopperhoff in the back or Myra, or even at times when Schweinsteiger gets caught there, they have the ability now to be able to defend those wide areas in 1v1 situations.
And Frank, you're a guy that was from here. You played for the hometown team here. What's it got to mean for a guy like Patrick Duty who grew up here, a homegrown guy, a guy that played here, and now he comes back and gets the opportunity?
No, it's a great feeling. I think, you know, I think for him and for every player that's from here puts that jersey on, I think there's added pressure, because I think there's a responsibility. They want to do well. They know everyone is watching, not only their family, but also all the young guys underneath them.
Right.
They're looking at them to do well, because they feel that there's a pathway for them to reach the first team also.
Yeah, we do know, talking about homegrowns, we saw that Georgi Mihailovic scored the first goal for the homegrown game, another local kid, and we will talk about more about that later. When we come back, we've got the goal scorer from the other day, the guy that scored the first goal for the Chicago Fire. Right back, Matt Polster will join us. It's Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
You can't experience the Canadian Rockies through a screen. You have to be here with us. Travel through this natural wonder and get a glimpse of amazing. With a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other. Aboard Rocky Mountaineer. Canada's Rocky Mountains await. Call your travel agent or Rocky Mountaineer for special offers now.
Apt. Chicagoland's #1 shopping destination has everything you need for the perfect home. We carry the largest selection of HD and Ultra HD televisions for the best picture. Create an incredible home audio experience with the finest brands and have Apt custom installers bring the entire experience to life. You just sit back and enjoy. For a better experience, professional installation, and of course, free delivery. Apt. Pleasing people since 1936.
Ah, another truckload of Toyotas. What a sight.
Yeah, during Toyota's national clearance event, we've got the last of the 2017s. And super low APR financing.
Maybe that's why they go so fast.
Okay, that's gotta be a record.
Right now, get incredible 0% APR for 72 months on a new 2017 Camry or RAV4 during Toyota's national clearance event.
Save on the last of the 2017s. Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Mariah Haberman here from Discover Wisconsin. Join me and the rest of the DW crew every week on this station for all things Wisconsin. Find us on social media right now for gorgeous photos and great Wisconsin giveaways. Speaking of free stuff, did you know every month we give away an exciting vacation? This month you could win a prize package to Wisconsin Rapids. Just visit discoverwisconsin.com for details. Saturday mornings at 10 on Comcast Sportsnet.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. We are live at the Heineken Pub 97 at the Private Bank Fire Pitch. Fred Hubner, Paul Tenorio, also Frank Lopez, and on the end of the couch, a guy that actually scored a goal the other day. That's right, Matt Polster, his first goal of the season. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Can you get Matt to smile? Because I think you almost said, there you go. I'm so happy to see Matt smiling.
He was smiling on Saturday after the goal.
I would too.
I thought he was going to land on Dax because he went for the hug and then he thought, no way, I need to jump before I do the hug. He got the jump in last second.
I was going to jump and then Dax jumped. It was just, it landed. It was perfect when it finished, but I was a little worried myself, actually.
You got to get that coordinated,
Matt, talk a little bit about home. It was good for the team to come home, but it just seems like it's a different team that we see a little bit at home. Talk about that confidence and how you playing in front of the home fans, what that does to you guys when you come out on that pitch.
Yeah, I mean, we had a sold-out crowd, if I'm not correct. So, I mean, to have that kind of atmosphere, I think the guys were up for it. Obviously, it showed with the win. But it was tough, obviously, coming off that break and having those 2 quick losses back-to-back. And that hurt us, but we knew coming home, we knew we needed to win, but we know we're also good at home and we're confident here. So I wasn't very surprised about how we responded.
Yeah.
Matt, coming out of that Gold Cup break, it was 2 very difficult games on the road. NYCFC, always a tough place to play. Small pitch, good team this year. Sporting Kansas City, historically one of the most difficult road games. And you're coming off of a big layoff. How tough was it to get through those games? And then what was the discussion like around the team after the Sporting Kansas City loss to try to get things back on track this past weekend?
Yeah, I think if we start with the New York City FC game, it was tough. I think how everything just played out, and coming off the break, they played the game before against Toronto, so they were a little bit, not in terms of fresh, but they're getting back into it. They're now in the second game against us, and we're now playing our first game. So it's not easy after a break to get the legs going again. So I think that played a factor. And then going to Sporting, like you said, is a tough place to play, and they're a very good team, well organized. And the discussion after amongst the team was more that we knew we needed to bounce back, and we did. And and now we need to look forward to the next game against Columbus and do the same thing away from home.
Matt, there are guys that play the right back position, not only in this league, but in a lot of leagues where they don't get the opportunity to go forward. Maybe their team doesn't play that style. How much do you like the position you're in, and also how exciting is it to actually have that possibility of going forward like you have been since you've taken the spot?
Yeah, the coaching staff has told me to play more as a midfielder in that type of position. They've given me the freedom to roam a little bit, per se. Obviously, I'm not going to the other side of the field, but I'm able to go high, I'm able to drop deep and get the ball, or go even inside and pick the ball up. So they've given me a lot of freedom, and that's definitely given me confidence to play well, honestly.
How much does it help having guys like Dax McCarty and also Schweinsteiger? Because if you watch the game from the press box or the stands or on TV, you see that anytime you go up, or if it's Patrick Doody or Brandon Vincent, that McCarty and Schweinsteiger are always good at dropping back into those spots and helping out.
Yeah, I think the way it's set up is that we're supposed to go high, so that gives them more space to dictate the play and possession and the tempo of the game. And when they get on the ball and they're able to turn and look forward, they have a lot more options now, and it makes it easy on everybody.
So the goal on Saturday made two other young players in this league look a little bit silly. Fagundes gave you the inside, didn't think you were going to cut it in. Mm-hmm. And then Cody Cropper, I saw you posted your goal on social media, and the poor goalkeeper that you scored on was like, "What are you doing to me, man?"
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to comment, honestly, and he did. So we made up a little bit on social media. Next time we see each other, I'll take him out to dinner. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good goalkeeper. I'm just happy I scored.
When you got on that ball and you cut inside, I mean, how quickly did you see that back post open and decide, I've got this angle?
Pretty quick, honestly. My original choice was to pass it back. I don't know who necessarily, but when Fagundes kind of cut that out and let me go inside, it just opened up, and I felt like I was going to score once I hit the ball.
That's what I initially thought, because when Fagundes, I think, have challenges for that ball, and the ball comes inside. I mean, you get your head up, and then you see the back post, and then for me, it's the execution, because it's extremely difficult. I know you posted on, but I think you got to tell Cropper there's no way you can make that save.
Well, it was like the Dempsey goal in the Gold Cup around the free kick wall. Matt had already started running in his celebration before the ball hit the net, so that's how you know it's a good one.
Yeah, once it came off the foot, I knew it was going to be a goal.
Yeah, that's what me and Dan Kelly almost fell off, because I said, what a great finish,
Well, Matt, you've got another big game, like you alluded to, coming up this weekend against Columbus. Mm-hmm. Always a rival. There's probably going to be a big contingent of Fire fans going there. They've been kind of up and down, but they are always dangerous, and they're winger-driven, which means defensively you're going to have some tougher matchups. What do you see in this team that makes them dangerous, and how do you go about preparing for a guy like Kekuta Mane, who can play outside but also recently has liked floating inside, making it difficult for the fullback?
Yeah, they have a lot of good players, like you said. I think the main thing is to use possession as more of a weapon for us. When they struggle a little bit when they don't have the ball, I think everybody does in general, but to prevent Kekuta Mane getting on the ball, or all for guys getting forward high and wide that can create good chances for them, is to keep the ball as much as we can and impose ourselves as much as possible in that game.
Matt Polster, nice enough to join us here on Chicago Fire Weekly. We come back, we'll talk more about the Fire. They gear up for a game this coming Saturday as they are at Columbus, a 6:30 start. Catch the pregame at 6 o'clock on CSN+. Don't forget, next Wednesday against Montreal, and then it'll be a big match Saturday, August 19th. They're all big. Chicago Fire taking on Toronto FC. The game presented by Valspar. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com/tickets. More after this. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank.
The blades of a combat chopper spin at 380 RPMs. Not even close to an Echo trimmer. Now that's shock and awe. Power on and on.
We don't give up. We don't quit. We keep going. Day in, day out. We fight on. Why? Because we are champions. Be a champion.
Don't let pain knock you out of the ring. Our hand, wrist, and elbow experts are pioneers worldwide. You need us in your corner. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today. After our minimally invasive spine surgery, 80% of golfers maintained or improved their handicap. Be treated by the pros to play more like a pro. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today.
Than the winds of a Cat 5 hurricane? An Echo backpack blower. So, yeah, it'll clear a path. Power on and on.
Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Having some fun with Matt Polster of the Chicago Fire. We'll get to some more of that fun in just a minute, but I want to ask you a question. I was watching the game, as everybody was, a sellout crowd, watching the game on TV, and there was a play late in the contest, I want to say, with Lamson, where he cleared the ball across the crease and to you, and how tough is it with the relationship? Because you guys are playing the ball out of the back quite a bit. I mean, the long goal kicks don't happen nearly as much as they used to. Pano's never been a believer of those long goal kicks. He loves playing out of the back. How difficult is that for you to, I mean, you were a midfielder, but is it any different playing the right back position?
No, like you said, I think the what we built, the culture and how the style that we're trying to play is we're going to put ourselves in tough positions sometimes, and I think we all have the confidence on the field that we're going to get out of that situation. So when Lamson plays me a tough ball, it's more of just deal with it and try and get out of that type of situation. And I think the team has done really well in that and is taking that on.
I think there were a lot of coaches that were cringing at that pass, if I can be honest, including one that was in the booth when Lamson played him that short ball under pressure. But especially in a game where you're leading.
Right.
But that's part of the life as a fullback. You're going to be under pressure at times, especially when a team needs a goal. They're going to high press, and you've got to be able to work your way out of it.
Well, and you trust the technical ability of your players, you know. Now that I saw them with the outside of the foot make that kind of finish, I'm going to tell Matt, just keep playing them.
You
put them in tough situations.
You don't play that ball to just anybody, but if you're a yam, you play it to a yam 100 times out of 100.
Yeah. Yes,
yam.
You do. Yep. Yeah.
You got to explain. So yam is what we got going on.
So amongst the group right now, YAM stands for Young Americans. And to just like rattle some names off of in this group is myself, Johnny Campbell, DJ, Drew Connor, Duty, Brant Bronico, aka Red Dragon. That's another story we can get to later. And Steph Cleveland, and a couple others. And we have some retired or alums of the Yams as well. So, but it's just a lot of personalities, a lot of fun, a lot of banter, and we're actually now creating an Instagram account. So if you want to give it a follow, please do. It's called YAM_squad. So we haven't had any posts yet, but we will get to that. It'll be really fun. It's gonna be a good time.
All right, with the Yams.
And then we got a Ram right here.
We're Rams right here.
We're creating it all now. We're recreating it all.
Old Americans.
Yeah, the old Americans, right. Paul's trying to figure out one for himself. You want to repeat that one?
No. That one stays off there.
Okay.
That one stays off there.
Just about what you're talking about, the camaraderie. I mean, is it a little easier? I know there's camaraderie the last couple of years before this, but is it easier having camaraderie like this with all the young guys when you're winning?
Yeah, of course. I think winning sparks the fun. When you get into training, you're able to joke about and have a little bit more banter and make fun of guys, and guys make fun of you, and it just creates a good culture, and you get tighter as a group. And I think that's showed a lot in recent games and throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think also we're seeing this Fire team. I mean, we talk a lot about kind of the veterans that have been brought in and how important that was, but there also are a lot of younger guys, and I wonder your influence just a few years into your professional career, but when you're dealing with guys like Georgie or DJ, kind of how even having a group like this might help them feel more comfortable in their transition to pro.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think that's something I struggled with my rookie year. There wasn't many younger players that were on our team, and it was more. And the guys that signed were Duty, Colin, myself, and Kingsley, if I'm not mistaken. So it was only 4 guys, and now we have like 10. It feels like, and we have a group, and we like to go out, we like to have fun, and like I said, it's a really good time, and a lot of banter is being had. So.
What has it been like for you in MLS, as a younger American player, to see the changes the league has gone through, and especially now moving to defense? We've seen a lot of young attacking talent come into the league. Have you seen, even in 3 seasons, the level of play improve as a player?
Absolutely. I think obviously bringing in international players and guys like Schweinsteiger definitely raised the level, but bringing in young guys as well and allowing them to get minutes and pushing them forward and trying to give them confidence and seeing them play well. Like one guy off the top of my head, Tommy Thompson's playing really well. And he's a young guy, and the coaching staff seems to really like him and want him to do well, and look what's happening,
Do you get encouragement when you see guys like Tommy, like Kellen Acosta, yourself, not just playing with your club team, but getting recognized, Bruce Arena putting you on the 30-man roster for the Gold Cup, Kellen all of a sudden getting a bigger role with the national team, that maybe those younger American players are growing within this league and maybe getting more opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's now guys are realizing it's more possible to, it's not just a league where they're bringing in big international players. Like, you can make it in this league as a young player and a young American player. I mean, it is possible, and you're seeing that more often now.
No, that's the one thing. You talked about how the league has changed, and then in Matt's situation, I think is a guy that's played all the time, but when you look at a guy like Patrick Duty, the ability now to send him to a USL team and be able to get minutes, valuable minutes, where he's able to play at a high level, and then the team brings him back, and then you see what that does. How has that benefited some of the American players and their growth and their development?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. Like you said, I kind of started playing off the bat, and I appreciate Frank Yallop at the time giving me all those opportunities and all that confidence to play. And on the other side, you have Patrick, who got loaned out quite a bit and still stuck with it and still kept grinding, and it's paid off. After this game, you have to think he's done really well so far through the 2 games that he's played.
That's where I've seen, I think, that the league, has grown so much in a short time.
Yeah. We're going to see some invites handed out now, I'm sure, to Tommy Thompson and Kellen and all the yams out there.
We'll be giving shout-outs to all the yams. Everybody's a yam. Well, kind of.
That'd be nice. Matt, good luck this weekend. I know 3 games in 8 days, never easy, but you got to get the first one against Columbus first. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Matt Polster from the Chicago Fire. They're right back as they get ready to take on the Columbus Crew SC this coming Saturday in Columbus. Don't forget the Fire return home coming up on the 19th against Toronto FC. We come back, we'll talk more, as we always do. We'll take a look at some of the good things that happened on the pitch, on the field, as the Chicago Fire knocked off New England 4-1. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Another truckload of Toyotas. What a sight.
Yeah, during Toyota's national clearance event, we've got the last of the 2017s. And super low APR financing.
Maybe that's why they go so fast.
Okay, that's got to be a record.
Right now, get incredible 0% APR for 72 months on a new 2017 Camry or RAV4 during Toyota's national clearance event.
Save on the last of the 2017s. Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome to Elk Grove Village. Our growing industrial park is the largest in North America. It makes sense. We're close to O'Hare, major highways, and rail lines, putting us first class in business class. We appreciate that a strong business park means a high quality of life for village residents. It's what motivates us to be beyond business friendly. Elk Grove Village. Makers wanted.
You can't experience the Canadian Rockies through a screen. You have to be here with us. Travel through this natural wonder and get a glimpse of amazing. With a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other. Aboard Rocky Mountaineer. Canada's Rocky Mountains await. Call your travel agent or Rocky Mountaineer for special offers now.
Hi. I'm the one clocking in when you're clocking out. sensing your every move and automatically adjusting to help you stay effortlessly comfortable. There. I can even warm these to help you fall asleep faster. Does your bed do that? Oh, I don't actually talk, though I'm smart enough to. I'm the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
Time for Fire Field Vision, powered by NovaCare. Fred Hubner along with Paul Tenorio and Frank Klopas. Chicago Fire coming off a 4-1 win against New England. Obviously, a big win, snapped that 2-game road losing streak. But now they got to keep the focus, Frank. They're going back on the road against Columbus.
100%. I agree with you. It's going to be a different game, always difficult on the road. And then I think now, towards the end of the season, I think with all this games away and this home games for teams like Columbus, I think they have games at hand on teams. They become almost must-win games for them if they want to have any opportunity to be there in the postseason.
Anytime you're playing an Eastern Conference team, especially at this point in the season, it's a 6-point game. Columbus is a playoff team, and you want to chase Toronto down for that supporter shield. You want home field advantage. You want to bye. You want all those things. This is a massive game. And, then you add in the rivalry part of it. So it's all about carrying over the confidence. And not just that, I think also they've been very, very good at home, and they need to start picking up a few more points on the road. To get a win on the road, we talk about it a lot of time, how valuable those 3 points are. If they can go to Columbus and get 3, I think that's huge for them when we talk about what this table is going to look like going forward.
Well, and Frank, obviously this past weekend, the 4-1 win, we saw a lot of good things on the pitch, and you and Paul are going to talk about them.
We did, and I think the one thing I think that can come in handy in this game in Columbus also, and then we'll break down some of the clips, is their ability not to switch that point of attack, create this overloads in this wide areas with the movement. But if we go into video, I think we picked up 3 or 4 plays that we can go over. And I think initially, Paul, the first one.
Well, it starts off the playbook on playing Columbus. They love to play out of the back. They want to do it no matter what. If you press high, you can create turnovers against Columbus. We saw it 2 years ago in MLS Cup against Portland. That's how they created the first goal. We've seen the Fire do it before. You have to press organized.
Yeah, and I think this is the game in San Jose where they gave up a goal. They pushed numbers forward, especially the outside back. So the opportunities there in transition to really make them pay, just like San Jose does here.
And we'll bring, again, Matt Polster's goal, and it starts with the big switch from Joao Myra. He's looking across the field. Columbus tends to, when they press defensively, get overloaded on one side. That switch is going to be there. You're going to have guys isolated in space. Then you take advantage 1v1 on the dribble and look to finish.
Great finish. And then I go back to this, the third goal, and the thing that I liked about this, it's like we often talk about when a team plays in a low block, the difficulties that the Fire have had in the back. And in a situation like this, I think they were very smart. Their ability now to be patient, move the ball from one side to the other. They get it out wide. If it's not there, I think you can just see now here that this New England team, they have 10 guys behind the ball, and just the Fire very patient, just moving the ball, making them run, shifting the ball from side to side, and then obviously when the opportunity is going to be there, and then they draw themselves to one side, their ability again to switch that point of attack, like it's going to come pretty soon here. They get it there. Maybe the space is there. They don't want to get it. There's not numbers in the box. They bring it back, Paul.
And we've seen Columbus the last few weeks playing the 3-4-3. Here's the switch. It becomes a 5-man backline defensively. So they're going to have a lot of bodies behind the ball. And this is what we're talking about. Keep the ball, draw them out, switch the ball, and all of a sudden now it creates space, and Delue's able to make that run. Farrell's lost. Goalkeeper doesn't come out, and it's an easy finish for Michael Deleu.
Yeah, and it was just a patient buildup. I think they just kept the ball 25, 30 passes. I think there were some moments there where they could have got that ball early on. Maybe numbers were not there, so they were patient in their buildup. And I think when they had numbers in there were hard runs, and they were able to get the third goal, which was huge, So.
And these are different concepts, right, Frank? I mean, we've talked about high pressing, we've talked about counterattacking, but then, like you said, it's that last bit. It's when teams drop off against you and say, go ahead, break us down. The Fire are now showing an ability to do that, to keep the ball, to stay patient, to wait for those moments, and then to make that pass. And that's a huge part going forward, because there are going to be teams that come to Chicago and look to sit in and get a point. And there are going to be moments when you're playing against teams now in this league that have gone to 3-man backlines that really they become 5-man backlines defensively, and now you have to break down 8 people behind the ball whenever you have the ball almost, unless it's transition. So to have that patience and to be able to possess with purpose.
Yeah, and then I think the one play that you showed, for them to switch the point of attack, because Columbus is not a team that's going to press high. What they do is that they wait for you, and then they press in certain moments. When the ball goes out wide to the outside back, you can see that they close down very hard. Now, your ability to get out of those situations and switch the point of attack, you can create overloads, just like in that goal that Matt scored there, and that's going to be the key. I think the Fire have to be good with the ball on the road.
And Frank, you know Greg Berhalter very well, and one thing I've gotten from him in my conversations with him tactically about how he looks at the game is he does defensively like to look at what a team does well and say, okay, I want to take that away from one of your strongest players. You know, we had a conversation last time he was in Chicago about what they did against Orlando City, where they dropped off and said, we'll let Kyle Larin and Carlos Rivas turn and have to run at us because they don't create well running at you. They do when you drop deep and they can create in the box. I imagine that he's going to look the opposite way at this Orlando team and maybe try to push a little bit higher to take away Nico's strengths, and knowing that he's got Aful against the Calm, a matchup he might like because they've done well there. So it is going to come into those moments. Can you attack that high line with a quick counter when they press, like you say, in those moments?
Well, that's the thing, though, because if the ball goes out wide, let's say to the left back, and then if they play in a 3-4-3 system, and then Aful is playing the wide midfielder, and he's got to close very hard on Patrick Doody, I think that space down in the channel is going to be open, you know, and then is Aful going to drop off and pick up a Calm? If he does, and then the outside backs are going to have a lot of space to build up. If they play higher up the field, I think if you switch the point of attack in the right moment and you have the right back going forward, you can create those 2v1 overloads. And then the other thing, I think, in a tough game, this is what I see. I think with Justin Merrim, a lot going forward. If it's Mane or Fenley, I think, you know, if it's Mane playing, I think without the ball, is he going to be the guy that's going to track all the way back and do the work? That's a question mark for me.
That was Fire Field Vision, powered by NovaCare. We come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Columbus, the Columbus Crew, the opponent this weekend. Catch the game 6:30 on CSN Plus, 6 o'clock pregame from Columbus. Then don't forget, next Wednesday in Montreal, and then the Fire return home coming up on Saturday, August 19th, a 7 o'clock start against Michael Bradley, TFC, Josie Altador and company. They're in town for a 7 o'clock kick presented by Valspar. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Oh, honey, it's time.
To go back to Lowe's? Yeah, this Valspar paint and primer in one really freed up the afternoon. Hey, how do you feel about tackling the kitchen?
Ooh, not great.
Okay, well, maybe we could finish up the basement then. I always wanted to get a pool table down there. I'm a bit of a shark.
And your wife is very much a pregnant chameleon.
Oh, what about a bar?
John.
Go, that time.
Yeah.
Clean paint starts here. Save time with Valspar's paint and primer in one interior paints exclusively at Lowe's.
Find a location near you at chicago-fire.com/youth.
If you have recently suffered an injury or had surgery, let the experts at NovaCare Rehabilitation get you back to an active lifestyle. Our comprehensive programs deliver the highest level of physical therapy, hand therapy, sports medicine, and work health rehabilitation. Our highly skilled therapists develop individualized treatment plans to exceed your expectations. So, don't live in pain. To request an appointment today, visit NovaCare.com. NovaCare, the power of physical therapy.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. Time for the Valspar Primer, brought to you by Valspar, the official paint of your Chicago Fire. The opponent this weekend, the Columbus Crew, and the one thing with the Crew, you're never quite sure what the lineup's going to look like. Never quite sure who's going to be out on the pitch. They got a couple of question marks already leading into this weekend.
Yeah, no Higuain, at least he hasn't been training in full yet this week. He's been running on the side. Maybe we'll join in later in the week in full training. I'm never been a coach. I got one sitting next to me. Usually when you get 1 day of full training or 2 days, it's going to be tough for you to start.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, Paul. And I think the last game that he played, I think was, I have it here, I think was against, Montreal maybe, and even in Atlanta going way back, maybe a month ago.
And they've changed the way they play when he's off the field. They bring Mane and they inside, a little bit tucked inside with Justin Merrim as well, and it's become kind of a 3-4-2-1. Exactly. I mean, they played 4-2-3-1 when Higuain was there. Now he's been out. They've been playing 3 in the back, and they went 3-4. I mean, because Merrim and if Mane plays, they like to tuck inside a little bit more, 3-4-2-1. They do have numbers in the middle. They combine very well because of the situations and the amount of bodies that they have there. The other thing, they're a team that's, with Berhalter, they want to keep the ball. They want to build out of the back. We talked about it. They're good in possession. I think the outside backs, they love to get forward. They like to switch their point of attack. They do get numbers in the box, but I think they do have some pace also in transition. I think also we should note when we talk about who's available, Harrison Afful going back into full training today, that changes it too in the 3-4-3 because of his pace as well. Now you have him overlapping on that right-hand side. It can bite you if you're Columbus because Akam is sitting there in the 3-man backline. There will be space for David Akam, but also he is a danger, Afful, going forward, overlapping a guy like Merrim. And then when you look in transition, when Columbus keeps the ball, they pull you out and they can hit you quickly up the line with a guy like Mane who's got pace. Ola Kamara, much more pace than people realize. And also I think his runs are very smart. He's difficult to defend. He never stays still, and movement is the most difficult thing as a defender to deal with. And Ola Kamara, very good at doing that up top.
No, I agree with you. That's the one thing with him is his mobility. He's got the pace to get behind. He'll do the work. Especially if Mane and Merrim get caught a little bit out of position, he comes back. But look, I think you take Higuain out. I mean, then you take 9 goals away from this team. I think Justin Merrim, he's got 9. Kamara has 11. I think there's a lack. Now, who else is going to step up? Finley hasn't had the production that he's had in the past. The other thing with them, I think they do have some big bodies. Like if Kronalip is in the back and you have Menza, you have Kamara, you have some target guys in set pieces that could be effective.
And Frank, we talked about this earlier on in the show when it comes to competition. They just added a DP winger. He's not going to be available. Santos is not going to coming over from Portugal. He won't be available in this game, okay? But he's a $5 million player. You better believe everybody on that team that plays in those spots knows they need to put in a good performance against Chicago to keep their jobs. That's motivation for Justin Merrim. That's motivation for Kekuta Mane. That's motivation for Higuain to get back, especially a week after he says to the local media, this is my last year in Columbus. It's a weird way to set the tone, but I think even though this guy's not going to be on the field on Saturday against the Fire, he's going to have an impact on that team.
No, I agree with you. And also a guy, you talked about a couple of guys, but how about a guy like Ethan Finley? Nico Henson. I know he's a younger guy, but I think they need to start producing, because if not, look, if you're not getting it done, reinforcements are coming.
And I saw a rumor out there that Ethan Finley might be available for trade, and I always wonder, is that the team floating it? Is it a player or an agent floating it? For me, if it's the player or the agent, not the greatest response, right? You've got to respond to competition by stepping up to that competition. The window closes tomorrow. We'll see if Columbus makes another move. But again, I mean, you're right. Ethan Finley, a guy who hasn't been playing very well this season. He got moved to the bench. But if Higuain is leaving at the end of the year and Mane potentially his contract is up, Finley still has a chance to be a day in, day out starter, and he needs to show it.
Exactly. But 1 goal, 1 assist so far, that's not going to get it done.
No. The Chicago Fire take on Columbus this coming Saturday, a 6:30 start, 6 o'clock pregame on CSN+. We come back. Video Assistant Replay is here. We will talk about that. Don't forget, coming up, as I mentioned, Saturday, the pregame show at 6 on CSN+, as the Fire go to Columbus. Then, the next home game, Saturday, August 19th, a 7 o'clock start against Altidore and Toronto FC, presented by Valspar. Get your tickets now, chicago-fire.com/tickets. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
This golden opportunity features steel, titanium, and carbon fiber. Raw elements made exhilarating by Lexus. Experience uncompromising performance at the Lexus Golden Opportunity sales event before it ends.
Lease the 2017 IS Turbo for $299 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
You can't experience the Canadian Rockies through a screen. You have to be here with us. Travel through this natural wonder and get a glimpse of amazing. With a glass of wine in one hand and a camera in the other. Aboard Rocky Mountaineer. Canada's Rocky Mountains await. Call your travel agent or Rocky Mountaineer for special offers now.
Here, in this league, we're not okay with strong. We go stronger. We don't settle for fast. We go faster. We don't want next. We want next level. Here, we go all out. Because we're all in. This is our league. And here, we don't go for good. We go for great.
Go inside the lives of Chicago's biggest sports stars, only on Inside Look, presented by Cadillac. Your questions answered.
They got this big because basketball got this big.
Idols revisited.
They bring the atmosphere and the energy that you need throughout the grind of the season.
And the stories behind the headlines revealed.
I realized so many reasons why I'm back home.
Catch a new interview every month with Inside Look on CSN. Visit csnchicago.com for listings.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. Major League Soccer got some assistance this weekend. VAR, video assisted replay, actually took a hold, and guys, it's in the other sports. They do it in basketball, they do it in hockey, they do it in baseball. They do it in all sports. Football, obviously, the biggest. It was only a matter of time, but it was a nice. How did you guys feel? There was a nice move by MLS to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. They're still figuring out some kinks, and that's going to happen. I mean, even like what they call it. We've been calling it VAR for 6 months, and then the day before it gets instituted in MLS, they send out a notice and say, we want you to call it video review, hashtag VR. And everyone's saying, well, hashtag VR is virtual reality, right? And the league's like, oh no, who cares? Call it VR. But look, I think at the end of the day, what we're going to learn about video review is that it's going to change the game, of course, but the goal is to change it minimally and to get the biggest calls right. And I think that's the right goal of this, but I think there are going to be moments in this first season and, probably the first couple years where they get things wrong. And I think there are a couple key concepts that we started to learn about this first week.
I agree with you, but I think the most important thing for me, it's like clear and obvious mistakes. I think that mistakes that really impact the game, the outcome of the game. And I think if you can get those right, and you're right, it's not going to be perfect, but we can look at the last game. We'll go over one clip from LA game, and I think we've got to go over a clip even from the Fire New England game, because a lot of people didn't understand why they didn't go back in one of the goals.
Well, I think we'll start off by saying, when we're talking about video review, we talk about where are you reviewing the big decisions in games: goals, penalty kicks, red cards, mistaken identity. And these are calls that can change games. And in this LA-Portland game, we saw a great example of that. It absolutely changed the game and probably changed the result of the game, but in the right way. So let's take a look at that first clip and to show this is how video review can help the game. So as this play is unfolding, the header goes back into the box, and it looks like a good goal. Giassi Zardes puts LA up 2-1 on the road. That's a huge goal, 12 minutes into Portland. Tough place to play.
No, I agree with you, but you could just see in the speed of the game, everyone watching, you say that's a good goal.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, for all of us.
And they come back and look at it, and even on this first replay, you think, what are they calling? What's wrong? Is it a foul in the box? What's going on? And then they come back with the second replay and later a zoomed-in angle. But even here on this second replay, we're going to stop it right here. Giassi's artist has his hands up and knocks the ball down with his hands to give himself a chance to score the goal. Why would he put his hands up when the ball's on his head? Don't ask me that. Maybe Giassi says my best touch is with my hands. Sorry, Giassi. But the point is they got this call right. And it changes the game. And Portland goes on to win this game at home. And I don't know that they would have if they're down 2-1 in the 12th minute. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But VAR got it right in this moment,
and
or
that's
video
what,
review.
Yeah, and that's what you're using it for. I mean, can you imagine if you don't have the ability to look at this play, and then maybe you go home and then you lose a game like this?
Yeah.
You know,
well, the first three or four replays, you did not see that, and then finally they did on one of their broadcast video replays. That was great to see.
I think this is what it's about. That referee in the box, the VAR, was looking at the play. He saw it. He zoomed in on it, and then he hit his button to let the referee know, and they got it right. And we'll also take a look. Let's skip forward now and show this is a key concept when we're talking about video review that everyone needs to learn. And we had a great example in the Fire game. So let's take a look at this goal in the Fire game. You see David Accam, boom, big collision there with Andrew Farrell.
No, and Petrescu's in a good position. I mean, he lets play go on. He doesn't make the initial call. There's no foul.
But it's 100% was a foul. He doesn't call it, and now Schweinsteiger gets the ball on the right. And look, he starts moving forward. This is a new beginning of an attacking phase of play, which means that the VAR is hitting his reset button to say, this is the start of the attacking phase of play. What happens from this moment on? Duty plays the pass in. Bastian Schweinsteiger with the dummy, a goal for Juninho. Okay, all goals are reviewed, but they can only be reviewed as far back as the start of the attacking phase of play. And because that Accam foul came before the start of the attacking phase of play, it could not be reviewed and the goal could not be called back. And Jay Heaps lost his mind on the sideline. He lost his mind on the sideline, but the referees got the call right. Key moment for fans that are going to be watching soccer going forward to start to understand what the attacking phase of play is. And yes, the foul call was wrong, but the decision not to reverse the goal was right.
No, I agree with you, and I think that was the mistake that, I think the fans didn't understand, and I think even myself, we could have done a better job explaining it at that moment, because Paul is right. The moment that ball is cleared, Schweinsteiger drops back, a new phase of attacking play starts at that moment. He makes a couple passes forwards, which is the point of attack, and then the goal is scored. So they cannot go back and review that.
And last time when we were here on the couch with Michael DeLue, he said what he didn't want to lose was the controversy. And should this have happened, should it not? I don't blame Jay Heaps for losing his mind on the sideline. That was absolutely a foul, and that foul allowed the Fire to keep the ball and allowed them to score a goal. The controversy is still there. Human error is still there. Human judgment is still there. Subjectivity is still there. But they got it right.
And before we go, a new player coming to Major League Soccer from Mexico. Bob Bradley getting a player already.
Carlos Vela coming in, Mexican national teamer. Very interested to see how he fits tactically with Bob Bradley, who likes people to be very disciplined. Not what Vela is known for.
The only thing, two things. We saw the Super Cup today, Real Madrid beating Manchester United. And I wanted to, I didn't ask Matt Polster who the captain would have been for that Yam team.
We'll have to wait and see.
Should ask him next time.
We'll get him on next time. Don't forget, coming up Saturday, it's the Fire Columbus, 6:30 start on CSN+. Then they return home August 19th against Toronto. That's right. The Toronto TFC coming to town August 19th at Toyota Park. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com/tickets. For Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez, I'm Fred Hubner. Thanks for watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire.
I know when you hit me, I know I was like, I had to get that Matt Polster in there.